Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Interstellar Marines preview. I'm gonna do something different this time. I got a copy of this game, so I decided to play it, but after playing it I figured out it will not be fair for the game to play it in my standard Let's Play. Mainly because it's in a pre-alpha state, which means there are tons of features missing from the game, and it's by no means bug-free, so keep that in mind. Also, it's important for you to know that this video was recorded while the game was in update 14, and since it's in a pre-alpha state, all the updates are big. There are big difference between them, so yeah, keep that in mind. The game could be very different depending on the version you're playing. The game is really hard to explain, not only because it's currently in pre-alpha state and many features are not yet present or could change, but also because it's divided in two very different gameplay experiences. One is the newest addition to the game, which is a single-player / co-op campaign called the Neurogen Incident, and the second one is an objective-based multiplayer. So first I'll talk about the gameplay, then we can talk about the multiplayer component, which is the one that they've been working on the longest, or at least it's been available the longest. And after that we will talk about the Neurogen Incident. One of the descriptions they make about the game is that it's a tactical shooter, and there are several factors that you will notice that they focus to make it so. First is the player. You as a player have several tactical choices to make that really helps their premises make an immersive game and also a tactical game. So first of all, and I really like this detail, you can sprint while playing. But if you do for a while, your character will get tired, meaning that if you try to aim after a long sprint, your aim will be all shaky and you will have to wait a little bit until you regain your composure, making you decide when it's a good moment to run and when you have to take it slowly. You also have a flashlight that obviously lights your way in dark places, but also makes you way easier to find. But that very flashlight also becomes a great tool if you aim at a medium range to the face of another marine, since the shine can blind them, make you a harder target, or use a laser that could help you aim but also keep away your position. And another important aspect that I like to talk about, and this I actually loved it a lot, is the fact that the helmet is a real presence in the game. And what I mean by that is that your HUD is projected on your helmet, but also there's a bright light and it can shine in the helmet. You see the light shining in the helmet, like reflecting from it, and I like that. But also, if it's raining, you see the droplets in the helmet, and in certain circumstances, the combination of this can actually obscure your vision. But what do you do then? You can take your helmet off. It's a simple idea, but I love it. You have trouble aiming because there's mud on your visor. You take it off, but when you take it off, you also lose your HUD. So that means you cannot know the position and the states of the objectives. Or even worse, actually, makes it harder to distinguish between friends or foe. And that freedom of choice, run or walk, helmet or no helmet, is just the first half of what shows the vision of the developers of making a real tactical game. It's also worth noting that your weapons have recoil, meaning that if it's not a crosshair that when you shoot increases the spread, but that the weapons move when you shoot, and you have to control its position to be able to sustain fire. So you know, firing burst is actually a very good friend of yours. The other thing that really influences the vision of a tactical game is the environment. The developers have tried really hard to make the environment a living thing that affects how you play and the tactics you use. One of the major factors in this is that they made every light dynamic, meaning that every light in the map can be turned on, off, move, change color, etc. etc. And boy, they do like to do that a lot. You can be in the middle of a match and suddenly the big light in the sky, I know it's not the sun, just decide to move from one side to the other of the room, or just goes off completely, leaving you in the dark with only a couple of lights around. And mind you, you could also shoot and destroy these lights to make it even darker. Or the map decides that the alarm was tripped, so there are moving alarm lights moving around, and it's well, it's glorious. I really like it, and they obviously like to make use of the lighting. And the light is not the only thing dynamic in this game. You could be playing in a map where your vision is perfect, and then suddenly it starts to rain, and then it becomes a thunderstorm. Or something more drastic that happens in some maps, the very same ground where you're standing is dynamic. There is a particular map that I remember that from time to time the whole level would reshuffle, moving platform from one side to the other, and a whole underground area would elevate, transforming into a two-story building. And that is what actually captured me about the gameplay, the dynamism and the options you get to approach your objective. But that is enough of that. Let's talk about the game modes. And as I said before, I'm gonna start with the multiplayer component. The multiplayer component could be divided in cooperative modes and competitive modes. There are several cooperative modes, all of them pitting you against robots, but with a twist. There is Escape, which is basically tells you to go to the exit in less than 10 minutes, and between your team and salvations is a horde of robots that you will need to bypass, and the map is basically divided in rooms. To go to the next room, you need to find a keycard in your current room, and then you move to the next one, and you do it over and over and over again until you reach the exit. The second game mode is Elimination, which has the most direct objective. There are X amount of robots in the map, so go kill them all. And there's also Survival, where there are power nodes and you have to find them. It's dark, and you guessed it, there are tons of robots around. So yeah, you can notice a pattern there, but it's fun, and the robots sometimes seems like the smartest creatures in the planet, flanking you, waiting until you're distracted, and some other times they decide to power into a doorway in a horde, so you and your other 3 teammates feel like Leonidas in 300 in the hot gates, so the eye seems to be a hit and miss. And finally, there's one more multiplayer mode. This one is called Deadlock, and in my personal opinion, the game mode that shows exactly the kind of game that the developers want to make. Let me explain. It's a game mode that it can be played up to 16 players divided into teams. There are several spots in the map that you have to capture. You capture them all or eliminate all the other teams, and you win the round. Easy, right? Sounds a lot like Control Point game, and it's exactly that. The game made some small twist to it that makes it something else. First of all, if they kill you, you get a respawn time of 2 minutes. A lot, huh? But guess what? And here comes the beauty of it. If you capture a control point, several of your teammates will respawn. And if you are the last player in your team alive and kill another player, one teammate respawns. Sounds simple, but it makes the game incredibly tactical. For example, what happens if your team captures all the points in the beginning, but then all of them die except you? Now you will have a hard time getting back up. But what if it's the other way around? Now the other team has easy spawns, so you have to actually manage how you capture the points, in what order, when you do it. Now combine that with the highly dynamic environment, and you're the last player alive, so there's too much light. Do you hide? Or now it changes to the dark, and you should move, but don't use your flashlight. So many decisions to make. It's so many different options. It's beautiful. And add all of that to everything I've been telling you so far, and suddenly this is a highly tactical and immersive game that is, well, it's awesome. I said it once and I keep saying it. It is. Now there's one more important thing to talk about in this game, the last edition, the single player slash co-op mission called the Neurogen Incident. This is a game mode that could be played alone or in co-op, and it's a mission that, for what I've read, it's a pivotal story plot that happens even before the game, and you are in some kind of training simulation that is programmed to represent whatever happened there. But this is hardly explained in the game, and most of my knowledge about this story I gather it's from the internet, but again, this is an early alpha, and probably when the rest of the game ships, everything will be explained. Or at least that's my hope. The gameplay is very similar to the co-op missions, but this one was made to build up a lot of tension. The place where you're sent is dark, creepy, and lonely. There are robots, which I'm not sure if they are a representation of the people that was there, or they're really robots, I don't know, but the fact is that those robots are creepy. Way more than when you play the other game modes. There are few robots around and can be minutes between each time you find a robot, but you know that these robots can take you down in seconds if you are not careful. And you hear them, oh yeah, you hear them constantly, like if they were talking in their own robotic language and hearing their steps. It's almost like they were mocking you, and they are close, and you better wish you find them even before they found you. It is very creepy, but it's a very enjoyable kind of creepy. Again, the ambience that they created for this level is very well done, and it's a linear-ish map. You go from point to point as the story progresses, but with a bit of exploration, because from time to time you have to walk back because you found a key or turn on the power of an elevator that's in another area, etc. This mission can take you between something like 40 minutes to a few hours, depending on how scared you are of these robots. But again, not sure how they managed to make them very unsettling. In my case, since I was terrified of playing the first time, it took me about a couple of hours. Something else that is worth noting about the Neurogen Incident is that even if it's an atmospheric map, the moment you play it in co-op, 75% of the tension goes away, but I think this is normal for any co-op game, honestly. Now, I've told you enough about what the game is about and how much I enjoyed it, but not everything is roses and rainbows in the sky. As I've told you time and time again, the game is in a pre-alpha, so as it stands there are several issues, and I'd like to point out just in case you're considering getting this game. There are several minor bugs that will probably be fixed soon since they are minor. I won't really be entering detail on this, but there are a few examples of this, like when a platform is moving and you see down, you can see through the floor, or at some times the actions that are made to hold a key get stuck, so you have to repress the button to stop it, like for example sprinting or looking through the scope. These are minor problems, but they are there. But There are also bigger problems like the performance. Even though the dynamic lighting is awesome, it can take a toll on your computer, making the game have some dips on the performance from time to time. For example, my game is generally at 60 FPS, but in some maps with the lighting effects, my frame rate dipped to 40 or something like that, which can be quite annoying honestly. This is particularly true in the Neurogen Incident campaign, where there are areas where my frame rate could go from the smooth 60 frames per second to the lower 20s, which is less than ideal, I gotta say. Also, while I was playing with a friend in Neurogen Incident, we encountered a bug where we needed a key card to progress, and this card did not spawn in the map, making it impossible for us to finish the game. Something else that is worth mentioning for all of you that like the diversity on your weapons, that right now there are only two weapons, an SMG and an assault rifle. And honestly, there's not enough difference between them. But that is how it is right now in the update 14. The developers have said already that there are more weapons coming, but just letting you know. And a big problem that the game has right now is that there does not seem to be any kind of lag compensation on the servers, which means, for example, that if you have 500 milliseconds, you will basically have to guess where your target will be in the next half a second and shoot there. And for a shooter, that is a lot. This problem is not really noticeable if you find a server that's close to you, since your ping will be probably between 50 and 150 milliseconds, but there will be times where no one in your area will be playing and people from the US could end up connecting to Europe or vice versa. And then those 500 milliseconds pings could become very real. Now I also like to find out that I've read in several forums and posts from the developers that they are working on a server rollback system which will help a lot on this problem, but as of update 14 the problem is there and it's worth noting in case you plan on getting this game. Well, I think that's all I had to say about the game. I think that as of now you will have noticed that I actually enjoyed the game quite a lot so far. As it is now, it's already a decently deep tactical shooter with gorgeous use of lighting and decent graphics. But it's still incomplete and the multiplayer is quite fun and the Neurogen Incident is decent, but honestly, it feels like a placeholder for things to come. In my personal opinion, the game is worth checking out and keep an eye on it during its development. I, for one, will be checking its progress from time to time. Right now, anyone can participate in the pre-alpha because it's in early access on Steam, but if you plan on buying it, please always keep in mind that it's not a full game that you're buying right now. It's a pre-alpha build that it's feature incomplete and there will be bugs, a lot of them. So make sure you're okay with that, especially with the lack of lag compensation, which in my personal opinion is a big problem in the current build. So, if you think you will enjoy the game for what it already has and that you're okay with finding bugs, go ahead, buy it. If not, I'd say it's worth keeping an eye on it, because they seem to be going in the right direction, and if they are able to deliver on the promise they are making for the game, it'll be incredible. Well guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. This was a new format for me. Please let me know in the comments if you liked it or if you'd like more content like this. And if I made any mistakes about the game, you could always also let me know in the comments. And I could make annotations if it's necessary. Heck, I'd even make a new video if I have to. Also, don't forget to like, fab, and subscribe since it helps a lot. Well guys, I really hope you enjoyed this and see you all next time.